Gather round, everybody. It's story time again. Hey everyone, Templar74 here with another episode of Day in the Life of Templar74. And today I just thought I'd talk about a couple more adventures that I've had in my world in law enforcement. So, yeah, this episode I try to keep it to about 3 stories an episode. This one I'm just going to do a couple. I just felt like it's been a while and really wanted to do it. So, risk of further rambling, all that out of the way, disclaimers may not be appropriate for all audiences, and 2, all names have been changed. But with all that said, let's move on. So the first story I want to tell you guys is actually a big one. Well, it was one of the first big ones that I did solo. Now, as you guys may know, every town pretty much, or every city in the United States now, pretty much has a Walmart. When you know Walmart's involved, it's going to be a pretty big story. All that being said, I just remember one night I was working graveyard, and this was back when Walmart was open 24 hours a day here in the States. I'll be honest, post-COVID-19, I really do miss that. Walmart, if you're listening to this, please bring back 24-hour operations. It was so convenient to do grocery shopping in the middle of the night with nobody around, but that's not the point of the story. Anyway, so work in the middle of the night, middle of graveyard, get called to the local Walmart. And now, I won't say that our community has a huge drug problem, but we do have some drugs, and so that will kind of lean towards where this story is going. The call comes out, and it's basically guys trespassing in Walmart, having inappropriate interactions with the public. That's all we got. And so I'm sitting here like thinking, oh God, it's Walmart, it's middle of the night, what kind of inappropriate reactions are we talking about? Get into Walmart, walk right through the front door. There's the pharmacy section next to the door. You get to the seasonal, you walk towards the very back, there's the electronics section. And right in the middle of that aisle, about halfway back, halfway to the electronics section, there's a dude sitting there, with what can I only describe as being intimate with a box. Literally, that's what he was doing. He had trout dropped right in the middle of the store. The employees are just sitting there like, oh my God, we don't get paid enough for this. And I show up and the dude's basically like, dude, get out of my bedroom, blah, blah, blah. Me and my lady friend are going rounds and yada, yada, yada. I'm sitting there like, oh, gosh. There's not enough money in the world that could make me want to put up with this all the time. Fortunately, stories like this are few and far between. Anyway, so pretty much you can determine the guy's not in his right mind. Don't know whether he's drunk, he's high, what his story is right at the moment. We just know that, hey, this dude is getting postal with a box, no pun intended, and we got to get that to stop because as unlikely as it is, you never know when kids could be wandering the store. So try to talk the guy into leaving. He doesn't want to leave, and he ends up getting tased because he starts coming at me. I'll have you know that as soon as he got tased, he relieved himself all over the floor, and we're just sitting there like, clearly not enough patience in the day to deal with this kind of stuff. And it ends up taking 4 or 5 of us just to drag him out of there. It took more than just me. So, you know, this guy had some stuff in his system. The things you'll get called to in Walmart in the middle of the night, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, box guy out of the way. I want to mention another one real quick, just because it does fall kind of in the same line here. And that would be one of our frequent flyers. His name was George. And this dude, you talk about tinfoil hat conspiracy nut. This is George. It wasn't uncommon to show up at his house and he'd be wearing a tinfoil hat. Well, one night I was sitting there at the station. I was doing reports, and we have a radio room where the non-emergency calls come in, and it's literally right next to the main floor where all of the patrol officers are doing their paperwork. And I'm sitting there, and we also have a game warden that's working in the station that night. She She comes in, she uses our office from time to time when she's working poaching cases and everything in our county. So we're just sitting there. She's getting a pot of coffee going, and I'm just sitting there. I'm filling out the reports from the night because at this time there was only one officer working the entire graveyard shift, and that was me. And George calls in the non-emergency line, and he makes it a point to say that he is being abducted and probed by aliens from space, not the ones from Mexico. That's exactly how it came across the radio. And yes, I know how offensive that probably was, but that's exactly how it came across. And Game Warden just looks at me. She's like, seriously? I was like, oh, it's just George again. I get up and she's like, well, can I tag along? I was like, sure, I'm the only officer on duty in the county. Why not? Come along. You know, this should be fun. So I get there, and George literally has tinfoil all over his windows, and he's sitting there, and we're sitting there trying to explain to him that he is not getting probed. There are no aliens. We've checked the property. There's no flying saucer. There's no nothing. And he was convinced that the game warden was one of the men in black, and he goes postal. He's like, oh, I don't know why I even bother calling you, and yada, yada, yada. You never believed me. And he slams the door, and she's like, should we do something for him? I was sitting there tempted to be like, George, you need to go to the hospital again. But then I'm also sitting there like, nah, George will be fine. Just give him a couple hours. He'll call back. Sure enough, he calls back a couple hours saying the UFO was back. We never did see a UFO, and I never understood why George kept making it a point to call us out for that. You know, at some point you're like, I should be taking him to jail for misuse of 911, but at the same time, you kind of feel bad for him, and it kind of brings you a little bit of a laugh at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're really fighting the urge to just fall asleep. But anyway, I digress on that. So, moral of the story, kids, don't do drugs, stay in school, and you too may see some interesting stuff in the middle of the night. Anyway, everybody, that's what I've got for you today. Yeah, as always, I'll talk to you all next time, and just let me know thoughts in the comments section, because as always, I enjoy hearing from you. All right, everyone, as always, Templar74 signing off. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.